Ginger and Moni here. We are finally doing the video on the events process and more specifically in preparation for General Conference. And so I'm going to cover a few things. Ginger will cover a few things. And then again, if any of you guys have questions, please email us, both of us, because Ginger's going to back me up with General Conference. With any issues or questions. Today, we're specifically going to go through the new event process. We will come back with another do another video, maybe, Ginger?
Yeah, for Liahona.
With the Liahona due dates and just make sure that everybody's clear on that stuff. So today, we just wanted to focus on the events process and how things are going to work with the changes to all the systems. So to begin, just so we are all on the same page, with the new event process, you have to use World Server. There's no longer any way that you could just hop into Event Central, pick up the Word file, and translate the Word file. In order for you to be able to get your translation published, you actually have to go into World Server and pick up the translation from there. So the way it works is it'll start with the editor. The editor will pick up the talk. When they're done with their edits, they will send it over to the adapters, which then already creates the projects in World Server and in Plunet. And for those of you who are not aware, for General Conference, there will be one order per talk. So what's that?
So it's
about 35 orders.
Yeah.
So.
And believe us, we tried to make it not happen that way, but we lost. So there you go.
There's just no way that we could do all 87 languages in one order for all 35 talks. It would just crash the system.
Yes.
So essentially there will be 35, there will be an order per talk. And so some of the things we're going to cover today hopefully will help with your administrative work that you need to do in order to help it go through for you. So anyway, so once that's released to the adapters will do their TRG, and then they will release it to the translation offices. So you will get the emails from World Server instead of from Event Central. So before you were notified that the talk was ready from Event Central, you will now get emails from World Server letting you know that 31 Cook or whatever is ready to be picked up to translate. So you just do the normal process that you do, translate and submit and send to Event Central. There are a couple of things or columns in World Server that will help you with this. I think you've got to remember when there's a revision that comes through, you'll want to click the complete button in World Server and then and then I believe I will send screenshots, but I believe it's supposed to get a new file or something like that so that you can get the latest version and translate that version and submit that version. But in World Server, there are columns that you can add to help you when you're trying to find a specific order or talk. You can add a column called Plunet Order ID, which with every talk, it'll have that Plunet Order ID number tied to it so you know what Plunet order to go to for that talk. Also, for final publication versions, you'll know that it's a final version if you add a column called pub version, which is basically the published version. So that's another column that you can add to help you know that it is a final version. And then there's also a column called revision word count, which that one is going to be a new one. So with the revisions, if you have revisions, now the adaptation team will go in and put the word count in World Server. And so you have to go into World Server to look for that adjusted word count so you can add that to your Plunet orders. So instead of going to Event Central to look for the revision word count, you're going to go to World Server, add that column so that you can have that the revision word count, and then you'll have to manually go to Plunet, whatever order or talk you're trying to adjust, and you'll have to adjust the words in that order.
Yeah, in that order.
To account for the extra words that was with that revision. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
Now I'll turn the time to Ginger.
So post events, these steps are super important because they cause a lot of problems for Jane Ann and for the Liahona. And So when you get, so you'll have your first due date for sessions 1, 2, and 3. That date for submission, and we'll get you those due dates when we have them. We don't have those due dates right now. So when you submit for sessions 1, 2, and 3, only submit once. You can't, if you go back and make changes and submit again, those changes will not be reflected in what J9 gives you for a proof. And so hold all the changes that you want to make until you get your proof from JNAN. Make all your corrections on your proof and then in World Server, and then you can submit it again. But please don't submit in between those times or expect JNAN to pull in that a second time, because what that causes is a lot of rework for her. She just can't go in and add something new. It's all handwork right now. So please be aware of that. So your first submission will be published right away digitally for the conference talks, right?
Yeah.
So then that's the version that JNAN pulls into the Liahona. Then from your proof, you make your corrections in World Server after you get the final one, after the final proof. Then you submit your corrections to World Server at that time again. And then we'll get you a schedule of when the cutoffs are. So if there's a cutoff like at noon on a Wednesday, please don't submit after that, because you'll get a lot of errors and it won't work.
Yeah, it's gonna lock them out.
It's gonna lock you out, and you might think that you've submitted it, but if it's after the time, it won't submit. Anything else on that?
No, I don't think. Just a reminder, just like Ginger said, remember your first due date is very critical that you try to make those due dates so that Jane Ann's team can create those Liahona proofs and get it out to you. And just remember, the versions you submit on that first day is going to be published to mobile and web. So you might get feedback that there's mistakes, but it's okay, because you can make those corrections all the way up until the end of the month. So we want you to take your time through the proofing steps, so you can take the proofs, make those corrections, and then go back to World Server, make those same corrections there. That way we have the same versions on your print version with the digital and mobile. So,
and it's important that the non-Liahona languages make those deadlines as well. Make the deadlines that we'll send to you when we have them.
Yep. All right, and then last but not least, the spreadsheet. So I'm going to create a spreadsheet, which is basically all the speakers for General Conference, a speaker list. So as the talks come in, I will put the World Server speaker name or World Server IDs that you can look up the talks, and then I'll put the Plunet order ID numbers as well. That way you know exactly where to find it for your administrative work. You can just easily use that spreadsheet to go back and do the work that you need to in there. And just so you know, in Plunet, the event talk proof takes place of the proof for CIX. Unfortunately, there's not a way to put a task in between that and the final version. It's just, it'll have final quality check, and then it goes straight to your event talk proof, which hopefully you guys will all know the due dates once we send out that spreadsheet with all once we agree on all the dates on that. But it should hopefully help you all with the administrative work that you need to do. Other than that, I think that's everything.
And if you have questions, please reach out to us. We're here to help you, and we're happy to help in any way we can.
Yeah. And with the World Server, again, if you have questions, I think Rick and Scott will be happy to help with those issues as well. Thank you.
Bye.